Hi. I'm going to show you what happened the other day. I found a new spot for us. So here's one of the spots I sometimes go to, that rock. And this bench. It's funny because this guy I know that does these meditations, and he's like, imagine a park bench in a beautiful location. And oh look, there's the sun. And I'm like, I have a park bench in a beautiful location. But okay, so I was doing a video the other day for work right there, and the spiker came right here, and I was still teaching because I didn't want to have to edit the video. You know, I wanted it all in one take. And he just disappeared right over here. So I found this new path. And it's great because I've had a bit of a cold and been under the weather. And so I just want to stay away from people right now. Not that I ever did before. Do you know what I mean? In life. Like, did we do this before? Let's see if this was where I went. Hold on. I think it's a little further down. I mean, of course, we didn't want anyone to get... Anyway, I won't give too much importance to that. I brought a water. Okay, here's where I found. Just in time because someone's up above. Look. I love it. And the ocean's right over there, but you can't really see it from here. Alright, I've got like jumpsuit on again. I wore it once in one of my skating videos. Anyway, welcome. My name is Dr. Cheryl Meier, and I'm a psychologist and a life coach. And I just have a passion for bringing more love into your lives and more sincerity and more consciousness, you know? I've been doing this lately. Just to live from the heart, you know? It's so weird. I've never seen this trail now. There are people going down it. They're not coming over here, so it's perfect. All right, you guys, I want you to be able to see this beautiful scenery. I'll turn it around for a second and talk. So today I have two things to teach. I guess I'll start with the first with yesterday I was bawling my eyes out. Tears are cleansing to the soul. And it's weird because I was watching The Lord of the Rings. And so it could be because I've been, you know, feeling weak in my body or whatever, who knows. Or just, I love Tolkien. Tolkien was Catholic and he went to Mass every day. And so he interacted with the body and blood of Christ in a mystical way. It was meaningful for him. I read a letter that he wrote to one of his sons talking about it. And because his son was asking for advice. Tolkien also was in the war, you know, and lost 2 or 3 of his friends. I watched the movie on Tolkien. It was really good. But besides that, he knew fluently like 50 languages. So, whether you believe in past lives or that our DNA is like USB drives or something, it has memories in it. There's so much what science can't explain yet, but they will, and maybe soon. I can feel that. But the mystics have seen things, you know, for thousands of years. But anyway, Tolkien had this deep understanding of the ages of men and of our history and mythology and transformation, inner transformation. So if you look at Frodo as a halfling, you know, he was half the size of a man. Anyway, he's carrying the ring bearer. And there's one point in, oh, I'd love to put the link in here. Okay, hopefully I'll remember to put the link. There's one point in the Two Towers where he's getting discouraged in the movie. I've just been at home watching The Lord of the Rings and doing a puzzle, staying isolated from people. Mostly, this is what I've been doing. The ring, if you think of it as like, you have the ability to be very powerful in your own life and to be wise and to do good in this world. And most people are, what I heard this morning actually is just, most people are action, reaction. Like just something happens and then they respond. Something happens and then they react. Something, reaction. They're not choosing to be more conscious of their actions, you know. This person was just suggesting meditating 5 minutes every morning and 5 minutes at night, just staring at a candle and observing your thoughts that come up, but not attaching to them. If you don't do a practice, then definitely I recommend doing something like that. You know, this person had, they were told they had ADD or whatever, and they couldn't concentrate for forever. So this is a way to practice your concentration skills. And so then, you know, when things happen in life, you learn to be right here, like I've talked about before a lot, in this present moment. Be present, be at ease, be surrendered, be joyful, but not a fake joy, just learning how to be trusting again that divine love has your back, you know, God has your back. Anyway, if you think of this ring as this power that you have to live from your soul self instead of your egotism, and when you live from your egotism, when you take the ring and use it from your egotism, then you're actually being controlled by something less than the highest part of you, this higher consciousness of you. You know, Christ even said, I came not to do my will, but to do the will of divine love, of God. God is love. It's weird to think of Christ, you know, not doing his own will and doing the will of love, because he just did that so perfectly. I always am reminded of so often that verse that Jesus quotes, I think. It says, "A bruised reed I will not break." It's just allowing people to be where they are, as they are, and not breaking their spirit by being over-religious on them, you know? But I don't want to leave people without truth, without goodness, without love, without the possibility of being wise and powerful and knowledgeable and conscious, you know? I don't want to water things down so as not to offend people. So I walk that line. But anyway, in this part of the book, okay, and the movie, I'll just say the movie, towards the very end of the Two Towers, Samwise is saying, you know, there are all these parts in old stories where you hear of these heroes of old, you know, people where they could have given up many times before and they didn't. They could have just called it quits, you know, and it's like in that moment, okay, in the story, this is why I was just like just crying, fully crying, because I felt it so deeply in my soul. I felt it. And maybe because Tolkien had faced life and death, you know, and was in a war and watched his friends die around him, you know. And so he's felt this intensity so much that he could write about it in a story, in these battles. The battles were happening. And it's different in the book. And I'd like to see the difference. I think I mentioned it once in one of my videos, I remember. But in the movie, Frodo is with Faramir, and in the book Faramir is wise and knows to let Frodo go, and he says no, he doesn't give in to the temptation of the ring. But in the movie, he's bringing him to his father, you know, to try to get a reward and try to say, hey, let's use the ring for the power for men, which Boromir had wanted to do and died because he went in the wrong direction and the orcs came. What is that saying? If you live by the sword, you'll die by the sword. If you try to take something by force, then force often comes at you. But, you know, let's learn from that. Anyway, in this part of the movie, and it's important for each of us, is Merry and Pippin were with Treebeard, and Treebeard was trying to decide if they were going to fight the battle. And in the book, of course, yes, you know, but in the movie, he was like, I don't know if I'm going to. And Merry, I can't remember if it's Merry or Pippin, they don't force him to, but they ask him to drop them off in the middle of the battle type of place. And so what happens is, in the book, when they go to that place, the Treebeard sees all these trees that have been cut down by the enemy and turned, used as firewood, just mere firewood. If you think of the soul of these trees, these are ancient trees that have ancient knowledge, and they've been used for a stupid, horrible purpose of Sauron was making an army of orcs from the ground. It's chimera, it's mixing. There's a lot to this, so you'll have to research that if you want to know more about that, but mixing different races in a way that he ought not to have done for the dark. Anyway, and so Treebeard gets on board and he's like, we're gonna fight this battle. And Pippin or Merry, one of them, had said, like, we won't have a Shire to return to if we don't fight this battle. And so, and Treebeard said something like, and I'll probably die doing this, you know? And Merry and Pippin knew that they might die doing it. And Faramir knew that he might die. He finally released Frodo, you know, because it was against the law to release a prisoner, someone that they found on their land or something. And so he faced death. And Frodo and Samwise they followed with Gollum, and they were facing death. You know, they had to go to Mordor, and they were going to face death. Mordor is like where the enemy lives, you know, and a volcano of like, he just knew going there probably mean his death. And Gandalf was fighting a battle, and he faced death again. He had already faced it. He had already gone down. And Aragorn and Legolas and the dear dwarf. I forgot his name for a second. But anyway, they all had to face death too. And the kings that they roused up, they had been lured away in their own ways into sloth and sleepfulness by the enemy. And they had to wake up. One of them didn't, and one of them did, and faced death and died a valiant death. And the elves even were talking in this point right before that, where it's like the elves had lived for thousands of years. They had very long life, and they were talking amongst each other. Are we going to face death for the world of men? We could leave and go to this, like, Valhalla, I don't know, special place. I'm gonna wipe my nose. I brought a Kleenex this time. Imagine. They had a special elf place that they could go to, but they decided to go and fight with the elves and the men and they were elves, but you know, Legolas was an elf, but he was the only one that was fighting with them, and they decided to come and fight. And it's so beautiful. Like, it was so touching and so beautiful that it's like you don't realize the power of your own soul's choice, your own free choice, your own choice in each moment to be loving, to be wise, to not be reactive, to not be captive to your thoughts, to not be captive to the old stories that people have told you that were lies, that are lies. You are a soul in a human body having a human experience, and you are so much more powerful than you have been led to know. And there are forces or whatever that don't want you to know how powerful you are, and how powerful it is for you, for one person, to be more loving, to be more free inside, to be wild, to face death in these courageous ways, like me dressing differently, like, would seem so weird before, like, look at this. Or losing the weight that I was scared to lose before, and I didn't realize I was so scared to lose it, or scared to be seen, or scared to be known, or scared to just be myself. Sometimes we're scared to be alone. I talked to a woman last night, and she was saying that she knows someone that can't ever be around silence, like never. When this person's around silence, they start whistling, and it was so strange, to me. Because I love silence. It's like something I crave, more and more silence in my life. But back to, Frodo was like, Sam, I don't know if I can do this anymore, just so discouraged, because, when I was feeling like that, like feeling sick and everything, you can feel like that, you're just like, what am I doing? What am I even doing here? Why are we, like, I had such a head cold. I couldn't even think straight, and it was like, why are we here? But Sam was like, we fight because we believe there's still good in this world, and it's worth fighting for. It's worth fighting for. It's worth you not being a robot, not being programmed from your past, letting go of limiting beliefs that tell you you're not able to be this talented, or to do this, or to be bold, or to stand for what is truth, or to be more conscious, to not give your power away to reactive thoughts, to people that don't know your worth, All right, which leads me to the second thing that I was going to teach. I don't think I've taught this yet since it happened. I did 4 1-hour videos over here day before yesterday for the class that I offer on the power of now. So I did do some teachings, but I wanted to come back here to my YouTube channel. I think I briefly mentioned it when I was when I sang one of the songs that I sang recently. I sang like 3 songs on New Year's Eve, 4, but I didn't put one of them up. Maybe I will some other time. I don't know. I don't always know what to put up, but so there was this guy. I can't remember his name right now. It starts with a J. I think it's Josh. I only watched a few of his videos, like 3 or 4 of his videos. And he's a YouTuber as well, just like getting more traction and stuff in his life. And but I really loved his sincerity. And one thing he said to do that because I mean, I trust that when things come to me, they come to me for a reason, you know. And he was vibing with me, or I was vibing with him, or it resonated. And so in his video, he said that what helped him was to embrace his own insecurities. And you guys know I'm always just pretty open. Some people are like, you don't have to share everything, you know? I know. But, so what I was feeling last week before I got sick, actually, so this may be why I got sick. Was this old feeling from childhood of feeling like I was, and I know this isn't true, but I was feeling like I was this annoyance for being alive, you know? And maybe now that's an old frequency that I'm letting go of, you know? Because I didn't realize how much I was pushing against that feeling. It was my father who was never enough for his own father. No matter what he did, he was taught that it wasn't enough, you know, because his father was this perfectionist and always called my dad a Dumarezel or Dumkopf, Dummhead, or something like this. Just some German, you know, in Germany called him. It's weird because my dad's brilliant, you know. He has a very high IQ and he went through medical school and he's brilliant in the intellect sense, you know. I'm not here to talk about him. All I am saying is I got this constant feeling over and over again in childhood that he wished I wasn't born, that he wished I wasn't alive. And that's just what I experienced from him. And so, you know, someone can wish that because, you know, I'm like this bright ray of sunshine and I remind him of all of his own faults or his own inability to be intimate or to be close with me or with people in general. Or, I don't know. I came up with all of these reasons why, it didn't feel like he wanted me to be alive. And you learn how to be a pleaser, you know, to please people. And it's like how if Christ says, like, I've come to give you life and give it to abundantly, and how this life that we have is a gift and we are souls having these experiences. But it's like, you know, in The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle says, act as if you chose every experience you had. So I was trying to look at, what is this? Why did I choose to grow up in this place where someone didn't want me to be there? You know, I was not wanted. And then sometimes I'd be wanted so that, you know, maybe you'll achieve something so you can make me feel good about myself, you know. And so it was like this superficial feeling of like someone wanting to use me that just feels gross, you know. And I'm not saying any of this is conscious on my dad's part. Like, he could have chose to be more conscious, but he didn't. And so this is just what I experienced. And then my mom not protecting me from that, not protecting herself from that. And so it's like, if you want to please the person that doesn't want you alive, then you want to be dead. It's really a simple equation, but it's just so bizarre, you know? And so I had to learn in all these years how to not be a pleaser. And and when you're a child of like a narcissist, it's like you are taught you're nothing unless you are pleasing me, unless you please me. And it's like, but to please this person would be to not be alive. It's the weirdest thing. It's a hawk. So I didn't realize how much I was still trying to run away from that feeling and trying to prove that I'm worth being alive, you know? And that's not my job to prove that. That was taking so much energy, like in these videos or in different aspects of my life. I didn't realize that I was still trying to prove to myself or to the universe or to my dad in the form of other people that I would find to reject me, you know, that I would find, you know, that didn't know their own worth. And so how could they know mine, you know? Go figure. I feel their pain. Like, I know it. Like, Elliot and I shared this experience, you know. Some people call it trauma bonding, you know, but it's like Elliot and I would be talking and I would be having one of the deepest, most beautiful conversations of my life. And he's like, I think I told you guys about this in one of the videos, my friend Elliot Smith, he was like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick and you can leave though if you want, you know. And I was like, what are you talking about? What, this is the most beautiful connection I've ever experienced in my life, because we connected on such a deep level, because we knew the pain we'd experienced and we're still living, you know, and we've gone to deep places because of that pain. And he understood me, and I felt understood finally, and I felt close to him, and he could explain deep things that I had been wondering about. And he was like a teacher to me, and also an artist and a friend. And anyway, I remember that moment, and I'm like, why would I leave? I would not leave, you know. And there was another time when we were just us two at this place, this bar, and he went to the bathroom, and these two guys came up to me, and I thought they were just gonna hit on me or something, and they were like, is that Elliot Smith? You know, and he wasn't famous yet, and I was like, yeah. And they're like, that's so cool, you get to be spending time with him. I'm like, yeah. Like, I don't know, it's so funny. And then that's all. Like, they didn't want an introduction or anything like that. But Elliot came back, and I'm like, Elliot, those two guys came over, and I totally thought they were gonna hit on me, and they were just asking about you. And he was like, well, if you want, I can leave, you know. And I was like, what? Do you think I care if guys hit on me? Like, I don't care at all. I I didn't care at all, you know, because he was my friend and we were having a dear conversation. And someone has their music really loud down there, way down there. Anyway, so I guess I'm saying these examples because here's someone that was, you know, really beautiful, brilliant musician, and he felt the same way, you know, like, why would people, you know, he sang a song about, if you follow me down to the Rose Parade, you know, when they clean the streets, I'll be the only crap that's left behind, you know. He says more, but I don't know if kids are watching. Anyway. I don't want to be in that frequency anymore. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be running away from it either. I just was like, all right, let's just lean in and face it. And I looked at it and I was like, wow, I was still carrying remnants of that. I was still carrying remnants of it. And I could sit and just, you know, get really depressed and feel like that the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Like I could go in and grow that part of me. But and it's not a part of me, it's just a part of my experience. Or I could just look at it and be like, okay, so what I experienced was being an annoyance to my own father. Oh my gosh. And so I was meditating on Christmas Day. I was over where I roller skate, you know, and I was meditating on Christmas Day, and because I always take an hour out to meditate every day still, as best I can. And so I had my skates on, and I had my, like, you know, Mrs. Santa Claus apron and everything. I just sat down with my skates on and I started meditating, just staring into space. And I had what I was meant to meditate on with me, you know. I can always look it up on my phone. But it was Christmas Day, you know, and a little girl rode by on her bike. Maybe she was 9, you know, and it was the sweetest thing. I was in this deep place, and in the meditation, she was like, Daddy, I love you. And he was like, darling, I love you, you know, whatever her name was. But it felt like darling, you know. It's so simple, but so sweet, and it was so beautiful that I got to witness that on Christmas Day, you know. It seems simple, you know what I mean? I have my own kids and they love their daddy. But it was a girl, it was different. So it was like there's this release happened where I was like, what? I'm done. I'm done trying to prove my worth to anybody. I'm done trying to prove that I'm not an annoyance to my father, who doesn't know how to appreciate a soul being, you know, or whatever I am or whatever he is. He doesn't know how to appreciate himself outside of his ego accomplishments, you know. I don't accept myself if I keep trying to get my worth from someone who doesn't unconditionally just give it, you know, like. That's it. You are worth loving. I was always worth being here. I came here for a reason. I don't have to prove anything. I'm loved. I'm cherished. You're loved. You're cherished. I want to stop running away from my insecurities and just, all right, this sucks, but this is what I had to deal with, you know? I feel lighter. All right, I wish you so much love, always.